But I just like to go over it twice. And oh my word.
Jeez.
What the hell, dude?
Yeah.
Look how wet I am. Oh man. That's horrible. What's up guys, and welcome to my newest video. I'm here today with Gustav Geldenhuis, the man.
What's up, guys?
Camera, otherwise aka as Gustavus Geldenhuis. Gustav is actually known and pretty much is like a wizard for all things camera, all things film and all things photography, but he sucks at skateboarding, like hectically. Hello? No, I'm just kidding. But he did recently start skateboarding. What is it, like a few weeks ago? Like a month ago?
So he's been watching my videos, obviously been catching a lot of inspiration, and now he wants to start skateboarding.
So he's had a lot of questions about what to do, where to start, and what board to get in the beginning. And I think one of the most important things is how to set up a new skateboard. So yesterday, me and him were skating, and I did what I pretty much always do, and I snapped one of my decks. So he's also got a new deck, one of my old decks that he's borrowing, and we got some new trucks and new wheels and stuff with. So I thought this would be a cool opportunity to show Gustav how to set up a new skateboard and to show you guys how to set up a new skateboard as well. I've been seeing that a lot of you guys have asked me to show you how to set up a board, so let's do it. So, the first part and the most fun part of any deck, my English might like bomb out completely, but the funnest part of any deck is taking off the plastic. I didn't even cut it. No, this is going so bad. My knife is a bit blunt, so excuse me. Okay, so I think the thing that most people struggle with when it comes to setting up a new skateboard, I think a lot of people try and do this at the store or in the shop at Quicksilver or Zoomies or whatever, is with gripping a board. And I think a lot of people, some people, can be very overwhelmed when it comes to putting grip tape on your skateboard. And actually, for me, it's like it's the
funnest part
of setting up a new skateboard. The hardest part of this is just making sure that you get your grip flush with the deck, if that makes sense, that you stick it on right.
Smooth.
It's like drugs, man. Try and find the points, make sure I'm in center, and then from the middle, just lay it. I won't like press anything yet. I'll first check that it covers all the edges, if that makes sense. And then start slowly sticking it. And one tip for putting on grip tape, if you are like me and you hate sandpaper on your hands, take the leftover like cardboard sheet or paper sheet that was on the sticky side of your grip tape, lay it on and start, I don't know what you call this, pressuring it or rubbing it in. Rub the grip in to make sure that there's no bubbles, rub it in to make sure it's nice and tight. I usually like just to go over the edges like this, to make sure it's on there good. The funnest part of setting up a deck, I use a screwdriver always. If I don't have a screwdriver, you can use your tool. This is an important part of like setting up a board. If you don't have a tool, grab one of these tools at your local skate shop. I think pretty much every skate shop sells these. It's just like a tool with all the different spanner sizes, and they come with a screwdriver in. I just lost mine, so I used one of these. So what I will do now with the grip is just go over the edges with the steel part of this, or again with the tool, and just make sure that it's nice and gripped onto the board. So once I've done like the outlining of the board, kind of gently just to get that, I'd usually go over it again. And the reason why I do this is because it makes it easier to cut the grip off. And oh my word! Oh no!
Oh no!
Okay, I need a camera. Oh, dude!
Yeah.
Look how wet I am. Oh man, that's horrible.
What now?
One of the tips that I actually never thought I'd have to teach while setting up a skateboard is maybe try not to do it on a random stranger's lawn. Because then what happened to us right now might happen to you. So I don't know if that was on purpose or that was by mistake. I think it was on purpose because I don't think they were too happy with us being there. Where I was, sorry. I go over it once and then I'll go over it twice just to make sure that it's a nice and solid line.
Facial awareness.
It's very important what face you pull when you do this. Next part is to cut the grip. So I'm obviously doing this very basic for those of you guys who have literally never set up a board before. If you have set up a board, stay tuned. You might learn some tips that you actually never knew that might make it easy for you. I've set up so many boards, but so many times I learned something new. Next tool is the knife. Trust Gustav to have a knife with him. I actually used to when I was younger. I used to like cut in the middle of this line. Someone taught me to cut in the middle of that line, and I always used to struggle so much until, like, this might seem so simple, but until I learned just to make, this knife is a bit blunt, so forgive me, just to make a slit in it like that, and then put the knife kind of diagonally on the board and just go through it like that. As you can see, that works a lot better than doing this. Julle vandag plak ons bietjie plakkertape op 'n skaatplank op 'n houtbord. Bietjie what do you call grip tape in Afrikaans? Sandpaper, sandpapier.
Is this what it is?
Op my skaatsplank. Vandag leer ek julle hoe om sandpapier te sny op 'n skaatsplank. I usually save these little parts, then what I'll do is I'll just fold them and then go over the edges with this, kind of like sanding the stuff in. I don't know, like my words just aren't working, but kind of just making sure that it's nice and smooth over the edges so that it doesn't lift up while you're riding. And there you go. There the grip is on nice and flush to the board. And then for me personally, I don't like super grippy grip tape, so I'll just go like fold it once and then just go over the grip like a couple of times to make sure my grip tape is not too grippy. I think that's really preference, because some people like grip tape that's like super grippy, that literally like bites the edge of your shoes. I don't like that. So there we go, board is gripped. Next part is
Poking holes into the board.
yeah, well that's actually not true, is the trucks. So obviously you cannot have wheels without trucks, because where are the wheels gonna go? Science. So what I'll usually do is I'll take one of these nuts, or bolts, sorry, and I'll go from the bottom here and I'll push. I won't push right through the grip, I'll just push like till there's a bit of a bulge, otherwise you struggle to get it back out, just so I can mark where they need to go in. Okay, so I actually found my sharper knife tool, thin, razor, I don't know, blade, whatever you call it. I like to do this. I don't know if a lot of people do this, but like a lot of people I've seen will just take one of these bolts, and after they've pressed these holes, they'll just kind of force them through. But for me, like what that usually does, it ends up like that. The bolts don't go like nice and flush with the deck when you screw them in. So I like to kind of just take, but it has to be sharp, otherwise it's not really going to work. I'll take like a sharp blade and put it in the middle of that hole and just cut the little pieces of grip in that hole out, like that, like so. So then what happens is when I put the bolt in and I tighten it as nice and flush with the deck, otherwise what happens is there's like a little part like that sticking out. And like I said, small stuff like that frustrate the crap out of me. So I'll just take two bolts and I'll put them in diagonally, like that. And then I'll just kind of put it in place through those two, because that holds it in place. And I won't screw it on like super firmly, but just a little bit, so that the truck is held in place. Obviously, it's very important that when you put trucks on, that this little like nut, the kingpin they call it, that this then is facing inward. So both trucks should face inward. This one should face like this, and the other one should face inward as well, not like that, because then you're gonna have a bad time. Crotch shot.
The best.
I want to make a video like yours where you're sitting on the toilet, setting up a board on the toilet. One thing I do just want to say before tightening the trucks is a lot of people choose to actually have like riser pads under the truck, which is like small little rubber. I'll show you this. Oh wait, yeah, I've got some in my box. These are riser pads, and I used to skate with them a lot, and a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll put them under their truck. But I think the main reason why people use them is it makes a bit of a softer ride, so you don't feel so much like of the bumps in the road and those kind of things, but personally I don't prefer them anymore. I used to skate with them a lot. I just don't like being so high off the ground. I feel like it messes with my balance, and also I like feeling the ground underneath me. It feels like I have more control over my board somehow, so I don't use them. But if you want to, you're more than welcome to use them. These things are super cheap. Just pop them under your truck and go. So I'm now going to tighten the trucks. I guess my dad just taught me this. I tighten them diagonally, not like from one side to one side. I don't like getting pressure cracks in my board, so I'll tighten like one here, and then I'll tighten this one. Sorry, I'll show you like this. I'll tighten this one, and then that one, and then this one, and then that one. I don't know if it matters. I just do it like that. Screw it in just till it's flush with the grip tape. Not too tight, and not too loose, obviously. I think if you make it too tight, then you get pressure cracks easily in your board. And for a guy my size, pressure cracks on my friend. And there we go. Ready to go. Jokes. Oh man, I hope I didn't mess up my nuts doing that now. Mess up my nuts. Are these things called nuts? Afrikaans? I think it's knete and bolte.
Dis 'n moer.
Bolte en knete.
Dis hier is 'n moer.
'n moer.
'n moer en 'n skroef.
Nee maar jou moer. 'n moer en 'n skroef.
Ja.
You're lying.
Dis wat ons
Dis knete en bolte.
not 'n moer. Dis 'n moer en 'n skroef.
'n moer en 'n skroef.
Ja.
Okay, so the next part is obviously the wheels and the bearings. Now I'm not going to put in my bearings, I've already put them in, but it really is super easy. So here's the extra bearing. So I'll just show you how to put a bearing into a wheel. So usually you just, it does take some kind of force, so just put it in like that. And then what I'll do then, so just take off the kniet, the bolt, and then I'll just push it in like that, and then just put force in, and there the bearing is in. So that's how you put bearings in a skate wheel. Washers, I don't know how important they are. I've heard they are. So I'll just put one on this side of the axle against the axle against the truck. Then I'll put the wheel on, facing this way or that way, it doesn't matter. Some people like the graphic on the inside to preserve it. I really don't care. So I'll put it in, then I'll put the washer on this side of the wheel, and then put the kniet, the nut,
The moer.
the motor on the axle. So now my wheels are on. Obviously that is not tight enough. One important thing is when tightening your wheels, you don't want it to be too tight or too loose. I'll usually tighten it till they're like super tight, not super tight, but till the wheel has no give at all. So I'll tighten it till there, and then I'll just turn it a little bit back, a little bit more, so the wheel has a little bit of give. I think that just helps, like that your bearings don't get messed up quicker. Again, it's one of the things that I've learned. Don't exactly know why. Okay, do you have the necessary knowledge to set up your deck?
Yes, I think so.
Gustavus Geraldenhuis.
Money in the house.
Aldinus, money maker. And there we go, the board is set up. There's pretty much nothing else left to do now but to skate it. There you go, good bearings, still intact, wheels, except for this one. This wheel is weird. I do want to say, guys, a lot of this stuff is personal preference. Some of the stuff I taught, this is just how I like to set up my skateboard. And you know, maybe you've got certain stuff that you like to do. That's cool. Whatever you feel makes your board ride as good or as fun as possible for you, do that. I hope you could have learned something. I hope that I showed you some tips or some cool things that I've learned over the years that will help you set up your first board, or hopefully many more boards to come. But now I've set up the board. Every time after I set up a new deck, I have to try and do, or get a pair of new shoes, I have to try and do at least one kickflip first try. And if I land it, it's going to be a good board. If I don't land it, it's still going to be a good board.
First try!
First try.
Bad board.
Re-record.
First try!
I told you I'd get it first try. We don't count that, but that other one didn't matter. I wasn't going the right
Yeah, it
direction.
was a practice.
This next part of the video is brought to you by Gustavus Geraldenhuis.
Okay guys, so before I start to set up this board, while Jeff was teaching me, I was trying to tell him that I already know how to set up a board. I even brought my own tools. You see, here's my tool for changing out the trucks, and he even forgot one of the parts that's crucial in setting up a skateboard in Bloemfontein, because here every single car in Bloem tries to drive over you when you when you try to set up your board here on the sidewalk. So I made decent preparation for this. I really thought it through before I came here today. And
Okay, yeah.
it's even a mission to set this thing up. We should do a tutorial on how to set this up.
How to set up a triangle.
Okay, so
A
it's
road
very
triangle.
important. You guys see this side is red. So you have to put this in the side where you anticipate the cars coming from. So this is South Africa, so cars will come from the left if we are here. So you have to put side towards that way. Okay. So with precaution you have to be at least 3 meters out from the sidewalk.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, and then about 5 meters this way from where you're sitting. So 1, 2, so that's perfect. So now we can start setting up the skateboard.